talking about fluoridation. He's just mouthing the rhetoric from ADA. He's almost reading a script from the ADA. But Peterson goes around, big pal of Professor Michael Lennon, who's the chairman of the British Fluoridation Society. So all of I'm saying is that when you hear statements from the World Health Organization, you have to make a distinction between genuine scientists interested in the environment and interested in health, and the subset of people who are essentially a lobby for fluoridation. And in fact, one of the most recent, I think it was 2006, study from the World Health Organization, the section on fluoride, there's a whole thing on water. I think it was on water. And the whole section on fluoride was written by 4 people. And 3 of those are known lobbyists for fluoridation. O'Mullane and Weldon, 2 dental researchers from the University of Cork in Ireland, and Michael Lennon, the chairman of the British Fluoridation Society. And the 4th one is more objective, I think, called Eklund. And Eklund, in fact, is the guy that found the level of fluoride in mother's milk was so low. But so it's strange that he's in bed with these people, but never mind. The fact is you have to be very, very wary of statements in the World Health Organization. But if you want to take their statements, notice what they say is before a community fluoridates its water, it should take into account all the sources of fluoride already existing in that community. But no community that I'm aware of that's fluoridated its water has set out to determine if the children already have too much fluoride.
Is there a way to measure it in the body?
You look at the rate of dental fluorosis, because they themselves have said that a lowering of tooth decay is associated with 10% of the children getting dental fluorosis in its mildest form. And if you were to look at your community and first checked out to see what the frequency, how many kids, what percentage of kids had dental fluorosis in any form, and if you found it was greater than 10%, you would be able to say by their own philosophy and belief that those kids are already getting enough fluoride and they shouldn't get any more. What it means is if you take a community that's already over 10% dental fluorosis, you know that by adding fluoride to the water, you're going to get more children with dental fluorosis and, of course, whatever other health problems it generates. And as I go back to the beginning of what I said, 41% of children aged 12 to 15 in America now have dental fluorosis.
Now, let's talk about the fact that fluoride is in cereals, in juices, in Coca-Cola, in sodas, in tea, in wine, in beer, in deboned chicken, in fish and seafood, in Teflon pans. I'm reading from your site, in anesthesia, in cigarettes. It's a wow. Oh, my God. And what about the animals that we're eating that are being given fluoridated water, and the vegetables and fruits that are sprayed and living in fluoridated water? I mean, you're really talking about a systemic contaminant.
Yeah. And it divides up into several problems here. One, well, I think they completely underestimated the multiplier effect. Once you put fluoride in the water, then the fluoride is also going to be in all the beverages which are made in the communities with fluoridated water, the beer, the soft drinks, the juices, and so on. Wherever you're using water to dilute or prepare any food products, and that water is fluoridated, then it's going to be in those food products. So that's one source of the fluoride. Then we've got a lot of fluoride pesticides like cryolite and sulfurofluoride as a fumigant, and these leave residues of fluoride on food products. Then we have fluoride in phosphate fertilizer, so that ends up in a lot of food products.
Is phosphate fertilizer the only kind of fertilizer that's used in growing most vegetables? Can you explain why that's used and what you suggest?
Well, it's one of the synthetic fertilizers that we use. Well, it's not a synthetic. You actually dig it up, okay? You dig it up in Florida, but it contains a lot of fluoride. But it's a chemical fertilizer. You wouldn't get it. You wouldn't get so much of it if you used organic agriculture. So another reason for eating organic foods is it's going to be, by and large, less contaminated with fluoride. Unless, of course, those organic farmers are unwittingly using fluoridated tap water to grow their crops.
Who would know? Who would know?
Okay. The other thing is that fluoride also is in products naturally. Tea grows very well in high fluoride areas in India and in China.
I didn't know that.
So somebody who drinks 8 or 16 cups of tea a day is going to get a lot of fluoride. And it will be, I would say, 16 cups a day, and you're going to be damaging your bones in over a lifetime. So be careful. What I advise to people, if you're a tea drinker, maybe adding milk to the tea as the Brits do, and right now I'm talking New Zealand, what the New Zealand, the Kiwis do, and the Australians.
I do too.
And maybe, although it's not clear, that the calcium in the milk is protecting it slightly against the absorption of the fluoride. You just have to hope that that's true. But I advise people to, if they like tea, mix your drinks. Have some tea, have herbal tea, and have coffee, water. Really mix your drinks. Don't have just one drink like the Brits. I mean, you have tea the first thing in the morning, have tea when you wake up, you have tea at breakfast, tea at 11, tea at lunchtime, tea at tea time, and tea at, it's tea all day long. And also Peter Mansfield in England is finding very high levels of fluoride in the urine of people that he's tested in England. And they're trying to introduce fluoridated water in more places in England. And if you have a lot of tea drinkers, it's the last place that you want to have fluoridation of the water. Because when you fluoridate the water, you're not going to have people drinking less tea necessarily, but you're going to add now the tea is being made with tea, which contains fluoride, and then you add the fluoridated water and get more fluoride.
What do you think about the filters that are on the market to take the fluoride out?
The cheap ones don't, of course. The carbon filters, the Brita filters, do not remove fluoride.
Right, absolutely.
And I would advise anybody that gets any expensive equipment to pay an extra $25 to a lab and get the fluoride tested from the water to be absolutely sure that when I would buy it, I would make sure from the manufacturer that you can return it if you can demonstrate that it's not removing the fluoride. So be very careful.
Can you tell us where we would go take our water to a lab? Do you recommend some labs we can work with?
Any lab should be able to test for fluoride if you ask for it. And I don't have the names offhand.
That'd be a good thing probably to have on your site, too, that people can take responsibility for it.
Yeah, we kind of de-emphasize that, quite frankly, because we would rather have people doing the more fundamental thing of getting fluoride out of their water. And as an interim, making sure that the water departments put a warning on their water bills, which says, this water is fluoridated, do not use to make up baby formula.
I think that's the correct thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it would scare the hell out of the public because
It's not a question of scaring the hell out of them. It's a question of warning them before their kids develop dental fluorosis that this is a possibility. But, it's a sensible precaution. But the ADA is fighting like tigers to prevent us introducing legislation to that effect, which is pretty sad since it's their own recommendation. I'm not saying that fluoridation, Kim, is the most important health issue. I think obesity is probably bigger, and there's some other issues. But it's the easiest issue to end. If you have the political will, you can end fluoridation as quickly as turning off a tap. You turn that spigot off at the waterworks, it's all over. It's over as far as the major exposure, which is fluoridated tap water. But to get that political will, we need the public informed, and then we need the public organized. Now, in terms of informing the public, you've got our website, fluoridealert.org. You've got now our book, The Case Against Fluoride, and also on our website, which I thoroughly recommend, is a 28-minute videotape called Professional Perspectives on Water Fluoridation. And you'll see myself and 15 other scientists, including a Nobel Prize winner, 3 authors of the groundbreaking report, the National Research Council report, Fluoride in Drinking Water from 2006, 2 former scientists from the EPA, 1 a risk assessment specialist, 2 dentists who for 25 years promoted fluoridation until they read the literature. So Ian Chalmers from England, who's an expert on what constitutes good scientific evidence. And the thing that changed him was the fact that tooth decay is coming down as fast in non-fluoridated countries as in fluoridated. And there is no difference, according to the World Health Organization, in tooth decay in 12-year-olds, whether they live in a fluoridated country or a non-fluoridated country. And that's an issue we really haven't talked about